Okay, so practice number one, technically practice number two, but we're going to do what is called a first thought exercise. And so, again, the whole purpose of a mindfulness practice is to observe our thoughts as they arise. And that's what we're going to do here in just a moment. I'll guide us through a noticing exercise. So, we're going to anchor into our breath today, and that's going to be our focus that we're going to continue to come back to. And then when our mind wanders off, like it inevitably will, because our minds are curious and that's what they do, they leap from thought to thought pretty naturally, pretty quickly. When our minds do that, we're going to come back to our breath as our anchor, which, by the way, there's so many different ways that you can anchor into the present moment. So if you're interested in learning more about that, I have a class called Making Time for Mindfulness, where we go deeper into different anchoring styles. So if you're feeling like the breath isn't it for you, check out that class. But back to what we're doing here. Two options for when you notice that your mind wanders. Option one is great for beginners or when you're feeling really low energy and you're like just done. You're just tapped out for the day. And that is once you notice your mind has wandered, you just say to yourself, I'm thinking, I'm thinking. And then you come back to your breath. So that's option one, just saying, I'm thinking, I'm thinking. Boom, back to the breath. Option two, if you've been practicing mindfulness for some time now, you might want to get more specific in regard to what you're thinking about. This can be really helpful because as you practice more and more, you'll start to notice some patterns. So, for example, I'm focusing on my breath and then I start thinking, did I send that email to my principal today? Oh, shoot, I'm thinking about work. Back to my breath, right? So, just something as simple as I'm thinking about work, or I'm thinking about my mom, or I'm thinking about whatever it is, and then coming back to the breath. So those are our two options. I'm thinking, or being more specific, and then coming back to our anchor. Ready? Let's give this one a go. So go ahead, close those eyes, or find that fixed point off screen to really settle that gaze. And just start to come to your breath. Let it flow naturally. No need to count. No need for extended exhalations. Just breathing. And noticing maybe a little gratitude for your body for always breathing without any effort or thought on your part. And then I'm going to get quiet here. And when you notice that you've started thinking, you'll just say to yourself, I'm thinking, and come back to your breath. So when you notice thinking, that just means that you've lost your anchor, right? But when you notice the thought, then you've really regained your mindfulness practice. And you can continue to be mindful of that breath. So I'll get quiet here. We'll just practice focusing on the breath and noticing when your mind wanders off. And you'll hear my voice again shortly. Keeping those eyes closed or your gaze fixed. You might also notice that your mind might wander off to feelings. So, if that's the case, we can kind of adapt this practice so that when your mind wanders off to a feeling, we can just label that thought, that feeling rather. So, like, I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm feeling nervous. I'm feeling nervous, right? So, I'm going to get quiet again and give you just a few more moments to practice noticing thoughts when your mind wanders off. And you'll hear my voice again shortly. So, as we wind this practice to a close, just want to call attention to the fact that there will be times that we have thoughts we don't want to have. But by noticing them, we're accepting them. And that allows us to let them go over time. Again, what we resist persists. So the more we ignore a thought, or we try to distract ourselves from a thought, the more that thought is going to creep up because it wants our attention. It wants us to act. And the more we practice observing those thoughts and taking this pause like this, clarity for that next action usually follows. And we respond rather than react to those thoughts. Similarly, we have thoughts that might repeat over and over again, thoughts that we don't necessarily need, worry and rumination. So when we're mindful of them and we notice them, we can start to disconnect from them and not believe them as much. So, my challenge for you over the course of the next week or so is to come back to this practice and just notice where your mind is at. And let's close this practice with one final big deep breath in through the nose and then sighing it out. If you closed your eyes, you can blink them open. So, just a quick check in with yourself right now. I liked this practice. I do want to take you up on that challenge, or I don't like this practice so much, and I'm probably not going to take you up on that challenge, and I'm excited for the next practice.